Welcome, everybody. This is the Film Glutton, and this is DC Gluttons, starring, well, mainly me today. Carlos and I have not been able to do a show for a little while. He's been super busy. Hopefully next week him and I will get something together. But a lot of news dropped last week. I didn't do a show. And then a big news drop this week. So I had to do something. So I wanted to just quickly kind of just do a little untraditional show, just kind of go over some of the bullet points of some of the news that really matters, that keeps us DC fans super excited, maybe hesitant on some issues, but I think super excited mainly. The last 3 minutes, you'll hear my buddy Ross on there. A little backstory with that, but also a teaser for tomorrow is I wanted to do a video in honor of Zack Snyder, the great director I think he is, and a little tip of my hat to the Release the Snyder Cut movement, hashtag Release the Snyder Cut movement that's been going around. And so Ross and Tommy, my good friends from Florida, were in from out of town, and they wanted to do a Warner Brothers studio tour. So I ended up saying, you know what? Will you guys do a show with me? Mainly Ross agreed to do it, and then we kind of forced Tommy in certain areas. And so I was like, let's do the tour, and I could kind of like share with my audience what I got to see and maybe why they should do the tour if it was good. Spoiler alert, it was totally worth it. Expensive, but good. And so I was like, let's do that, and then we'll talk about it afterwards. But again, so much happened, like the big story from yesterday, the AT&T Time Warner deal dropped while we were doing the tour. I'm literally checking my phone, and then that hits, and I'm like, okay. So after we were done doing the whole thing on the Snyder heavily focused video or audio, I decided to just kind of go into some of the news with Ross. So he mainly just listened to me. But it was a good chat. I was like, I got it recorded. I was like, you know what? I'm going to dump it on today. It was just too important not to mark the day. And then also some big stuff happened today. So I just kind of wanted to do a quick little video on some of the news items and let you know why you hear Ross kind of say, hey, how are you doing for a second, but look forward to hearing more from him and me and a little bit from Tommy tomorrow when we drop the Warner Brothers Studio Tour Justice League video, whatever I'm going to call it. I don't know the name yet, obviously. Okay, so we'll get to the AT&T Time Warner deal. That's the biggest news, and that happened yesterday. Today, the big news was Wonder Woman officially started shooting. Hello. And you know me, I never like to deal with rumors. I don't only want stuff in production. I want it like shooting. Wonder Woman, we can say it's happening. They're not pulling the plug on this one. It's alive. It's got a heartbeat, gentlemen and ladies and whoever. Okay, so last week was one of the things we missed was they officially released the thing saying WW84, Wonder Woman 84, right? So we know it takes place not just in the 80s, specifically 1984. I would love to do a show just dedicated to what that means and what type of things from that year they could bring in. Maybe Carlos and I can do that next week. This is just the news, guys, just the facts today. And but then, so they began shooting today, and some pictures were dropped. One was of Chris Pine officially on the set shooting as Steve Trevor, which was really awesome because we knew he was going to be in it, but I was even speculating maybe it was a flashback or something. Well, no, he's looking confused and looking like he's in the 80s, so he's definitely part of the story. So we can speculate on what that means. Is he a doppelganger? Is he a clone? Is it really him? Did he time travel? All sorts of things. Did, Thanos bring him to this dimension after? Oh, wait, that's the wrong movie. Anyways, so that's really cool though. It looks like a great photo. I'm excited. I am a little hesitant. I have seen some of the remarks being like, oh, is this a kind of a Marvel thing where they killed him for one movie and then had cold feet and brought him back because he was a good character? I don't know. As long as they do it right and do the story justice, pardon the pun, then Cool. I'm cool. I'm excited. I love Chris Pine, and Steve Trevor's a great character. The other pitcher that was as Patty Jenkins was doing all these, dropping all these pictures. The other one was a beautiful picture of Wonder Woman in front of a bunch of TV panels with like 80 scenes and captions and themed shows on in the background. Maybe at some point in time we could break down like if each one of those things kind of like are clues or something like that. Probably not. It was probably just aesthetically looked cool, but it just kind of got me more excited. It really kind of says, hey, look, we're going to bring everything that you liked from the first one, but this is something new. And that's super exciting to me. It's a sequel. It's not going to be a rehash. It's a new Wonder Woman story. Okay, so that was the big thing today, which is why I literally had to do this. As normally I just do a small little intro, but I was like, this is going to be half the video because that's a huge story that just dropped today. Hollywood Reporter did have a great story, very detailed. I recommend looking it up. A lot of it, I'm not going to go over most of it, because one, either the stuff that's really factual, I either did already go over in the last DC Glutton show, or, so you can look that, click it, like it, subscribe. Isn't that what you're supposed to say? Anyways, but it was a good article. It kind of like gave a good summary of what DC's thinking. My bigger problem with it is there is some stuff I left out because, you know me, I'm very strict on rumors. I want it to be as factual as possible, and I just think DC is still trying to figure some things out. One of the things I do kind of want to point out that's in the rumor realm, because there was some interesting facts they pulled with it, was the two different Joker films. I do not believe for 2 seconds they are making two separate Joker films. Everyone's reporting you got the Jared Leto story coming out, the Jared Leto Joker film, and then you had the Todd Phillips directed Joker film starring Joaquin Phoenix, and Joaquin Phoenix said he's not going to be a part of it or whatever. He's not doing it. So I think that's the one that's getting nixed. I think that they'll probably pursue the Jared Leto Joker story, but Hollywood Reporter and it's a reliable source. Like it says, it's supposed to begin shooting in the fall. It's supposed to be one of their first films under the DC Dark logo or DC Black logo. I'd probably go with DC Black, just my opinion. I don't know, but both are cool. The other like cool little element from that is it was supposed to be under a budget of $55 million, which is a lot to somebody like me and probably you. But that's very small for a superhero film. That's like, I don't know, Deadpool level. So it's a small budget superhero film. That concept alone does excite me. I don't know if the Todd Phillips Joker film, especially if it's supposed to be an origin story, excites me. But the fact that they want to do some kind of DC film within the low budget range, I'm like, do that, man. You could do a few more. You could do extra films that way. I want more character in like heavy films anyways. I mean, I don't think Logan was that expensive. I don't know. Somebody fact check that one. It couldn't have been that expensive, and that seemed cost contained, and it was a great story. So I don't know. That intrigued me. If Hollywood Reporter's right, and they're really like on track for these two Joker films, I'm really mixed emotions about both. But it is. Those are some cool facts. Okay, that's pretty much it. Then there was the Jeff Johns things, which I'm going to lead into. Where I was updating Ross on that. The only facts I left out when I was telling him was Diane Nelson did leave. That was part of that shakeup, and then in the story they called it a producer pact. I don't know what that means with Jeff Johns. I think that just pretty much is their way of saying Jeff Johns is still a part of us. But anyways, let's go right into that part where I was telling Ross about it. Jeff Johns was I think his title was Creative Executive Officer. They were trying to essentially kind of make him the Kevin Feige of the Marvel universe, or the DC universe, like the DC version. He's going back to more hands-on stuff. I'm excited for that as a comic book fan, because that probably means he's going to get more his hands more into comic books. He said is he's working on the Green Lantern script. So that was kind of big news to me. And I'm a little torn because Jeff Johns has come under fire. I don't want to get into all the rumors. I try to avoid that on my show. And then there's a lot of leaks, and there's no way to identify whether or not leaks are real or not. And so until they're verified, I hate to talk about it, but I'll just say in general, if you guys want to look it up, there's a bunch of information on the DC leaks, and a lot of it talks very poorly about Jeff Johns. Now, being that he created Black Knight from the comic book and a lot of other things that I've read, I've obviously Rebirth, and then Flash Rebirth, and then like, so he's done a whole bunch of stuff that as a comic book fan, it's been some of my favorite stuff. Of course, there's Scott Snyder for modern day comic book writers. So I don't want to get into like whether or not he's bad or good. So that's why I'm also just emotionally torn whether or not it's good he's being moved around. Because on one hand, that means he's gonna, since he came in with, you know, on fire for Green Lantern in the comic books, then that's going to be his baby in hopefully in the new film, since he's the one who mentioned that he was going to be working on that. So I know, but then the other problem is he did have his hands in the other Green Lantern film. He didn't write it, I don't think. That's another fun fact I'm going to correct with a slide probably, but but that was not well received. So and I'm not gonna lie, I was a little disappointed myself. I loved everything Zack Snyder did. Green Lantern was one of the ones that were kind of on the bottom in the totem pole. So I just hope it's really good. I hope they figured out what position he needs to be at. The only other thing I really wanted to cover was there was news that dropped just today, literally today, where it was ironic that we're on the Warner Brothers studio tour, and are you familiar with the AT&T and Time Warner merger?
No, I hadn't been.
Okay, so basically AT&T has been trying to merge with Time Warner for, I don't know, like a year now, and it's been held up in the courts trying to figure out whether or not it breaks antitrust laws or whatever. It basically, are we getting a monopoly here? Are they buying too much stuff?
Right.
So it was like a case that everybody was following, at least out here, because it's going to change. In theory, it'll change everything. First off, for Warner Brothers fans, it should be, if you get rid of the politics out of it, so just put the politics aside for a second, as a DC fan, it should be a good thing because now they've got a lot more money and a lot more assets. When you have a lot more money and a lot more assets, basically you have more room to screw up. So it makes you where you're willing to do more things and try to create more films. If this thing had not gone through, then there's a chance that Warner Bros. Would have to tighten their belt a lot more. Who knows? But some of the speculation out there was that they were going to maybe sell off DC. And then there was a question of whether or not they would then sell out some of the property rights from the DC films, which means it would have gone individually to each studio like Marvel was years and years ago, which would be just completely going backwards.
Yeah.
So as a DC fan, it's kind of cool.
Absolutely.
But it's historic also for anybody that's a Disney fan as well, just because you've got the other merger on the other side of the table between Disney's trying to buy Fox, and now Comcast is coming in that's also trying to buy Fox. If anybody wants me to get into details on any of these, I can totally, there's a lot of great videos out there, but if you guys need more information, just let me know, leave a comment. I can do very detailed video. I've been following all this stuff. I'm just kind of going over it as a generalization. Because so definitely the Disney one I feel like has been in there because everyone's talking about it, like, yeah. Oh, is Disney going to get the X-Men? But that's more likely to happen now, I would say, because I think they were sitting back and watching, seeing what's going to happen. Like if the government comes in and tells AT&T they can't merge with Time Warner, some of these other companies were going to be like, maybe we should take a step back, and we don't want to get hit. You don't want to go through this whole process just to lose a whole bunch of money, basically, and not come out ahead. So I just had to cover that because that was historic. That today, history changed.
Absolutely,
and it's
crazy.
It's a crazy time to live in. Like every day you wake up and something happens. Yep. AT&T is buying Time Warner. Roseanne does a tweet. Okay, I'm not talking about that one though. All right, guys, that's it. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for Ross for listening to me, and look forward to that video either late tomorrow or first thing Friday morning. I do desperately need to get some sleep right now, but I had to get out this news. It was too important. There's too many reasons to be excited as DC fans, so be excited out there. I'm going to stay on top of the news, and I'm going to get some sleep, wake up, and start working on that Salute to Zack Snyder / Warner Brothers Studio Tour video, and it's really fun, really interesting. I even have a little epilogue based upon a conversation we were having that's going to be great. And then Tommy does eventually make an appearance where he has I have a little bit of a conversation with him that's separate. Anyways, until then, look forward to that, and I'll see you around. Don't forget to never turn down an upgrade. Have a great one, guys.